Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make Ethiopia's most famous food. That's Ethiopian Doro Wot. Don't forget to subscribe and like. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make Ethiopia's Doro Wot in 3 steps. First step is parting the chicken. So what you will notice that I've started parting the chicken but the skin is off. I bought my chicken skin off. You can buy it with the skin and take off the skin, because it is one part of the Ethiopian Doro Wot, but I don't like to cook or eat it. So I'm taking the wings, I'm cutting the wings out now. So what you notice, there's the pointy part of the wing has been chopped off. If you have that, make sure you chop that off before you do that. So the next step is to get the breast out. This is a muscle, so just be careful when you slice it through, because this will become 2 parts. So try and find the joints up here and cut through slowly. I am doing this video a little bit quickly because I don't want the video to be very long, as it's got all 3 steps. Just if you want the detailed video, I will link it down below. I've done it in Amharic, so you can actually follow the steps with me if you are actually doing a Doro Wot and you want to see in detail. So when you're slicing this off, just make sure that you don't cut it out or you don't get into the other part. So this is the breast. This is what it should look like. So the next part will be to get the thighs. So when you're cutting through the thighs, get the knife so you can actually feel the meat and also the joint. So when you find the joint like this, you just push it up, and you would, as you can see, I've got the joint here, so you will actually be able to slice it off easily. So that will be the thighs and the leg. You should have two of those. So the next part, if you could actually just touch it and see if you can find that bone to slice through. So obviously if it's your first time, you might not be easy to find it, and depends on the chicken as well. Just slice that through, and the next thing you do, once you get that bit out, you use both hands and just pull it apart, so it should come off. You should have the front and the back. So once you cut it, you part them 2 parts, the front and the back. You should be able to you should chop these side bones off, so it should have this shape. This part should have this shape with the bones broken from both sides. The next part is the back. The back should have 3 parts: the bottom part, the top part, and the neck. To break the bottom and the top part of the back, try and feel where the joint is. If you look at this side, you should be able to see, but the other side might be helpful, where you see this white mark just right there. You cut that to separate the top and the bottom part of the back. The back should not have been broken. I bought it like this. When I bought it, the back was broken, but it should have a shape like that. It should be joined together and it should look like that. This part needs lots of cleaning. I will talk about that later on. Just make sure that you bear in mind that you clean this thoroughly and take everything out. We will clean it later on as well, but you should clean it now. The next part is the top and the top part of the back and the neck. So we cut that out, or you can call it the neck really, because these bones, I cut them out, and they should be cut out because they would not be nice to have it in the sauce later on. This is the neck. The neck, depending on how long it is, I'm gonna cut it down into 2. Just make sure you just try and get it with the knife and just twist it. Then you should be able to chop it easily. So now this is the thigh and the leg, or the drumstick. This was 1 part before, but it should be 2 parts. So try and find the joint and slice that through. Just be careful you don't get into the meat of the thigh, and you should have a shape like that basically. So they should look like this when you cut them correctly. So if we count them out, there's 2 thighs, 2 legs or drumsticks. This is the back. Should look like this. This needs to be cleaned properly. The next part is the breast, chicken breast. This should be cleaned sideways with the knife. I'll show you that later. There should be 2 breasts actually. The chicken breast, there should be 2 of them. So I just want to mention any part of the meat should be sliced through with a knife, so the sauce will get inside the meat. I'll show you that later on. This is the chest. Just make sure you have this shape on the chest. These are the 2 wings. These are the 2 necks that I cut out. You might have more necks or less depending on the chicken. And this is the top part of the back. I'm gonna cut, like I said to you earlier, I'm gonna cut out these side bones because they shouldn't be in the sauce because they actually come off the meat. So this is what it looks like. So we're done with the first part. So it's now step 2. We use lemon, squeeze it on the chicken, soak it with the lemon and warm water. I suggest you do this a few times, at least twice, but just make sure you don't overdo it. I do it 2 or 3 times. I just want to point out this is the most important part of the cooking process, because you just need to make sure that the odor from the chicken is completely gone and that fresh smell of the lemon has got inside the chicken or the meat. So when you're cooking, when the sauce goes inside it, it's got that flavor, that lovely flavor. So I will show you each part, like one of each part. So like I said earlier, if you want a detailed version, I would link it down below. I've done it in Amharic, but you can actually see me cleaning every single part of it. So the next part you see me cleaning here is the breast. This has got lots of meat, so just make sure you do it carefully so you don't actually get it cut into the meat, and just clean it properly. And the top part of the bone, I will cut that bit out, and I'll show you that how to cut that in a bit. But just make sure you clean this part properly because it's got lots of meat, and it's easier to clean because obviously it's flat. It's you can just lay it flat on your chopping board and just try and cut the fat out, any fat that's hanging around or anything, any part of it that you think is not part of the meat. So I'm going to chop that bit out now. So it should look like this, with just the tip of the joints being cut off like that. So the next part is the wing. There will be some skin left on the wing, so just spend some time to actually take that out. As I said to you earlier, I don't actually eat the skin, but that is one part that can be counted as one part of the Ethiopian Doro Wot. This next part is the back. The back needs thorough cleaning. I've done it once and I'm going to do it again, but this time just know that next time round you actually soak it in the water, it should be clean. So spend enough time to actually get anything and everything out of it so it's nice and clean, and take the fat off by just by using the knife just like that, and just cutting anything that's hanging off it. And just you can just touch it with your hands, and you feel it if it's just the bone, because it doesn't have lots of meat, so anything that's inside of it should actually be taken out. So the next part is the drumstick. As you can see, I'm just peeling it off, and just you do the same what you did with the breast, the chicken breast. Just get everything off it as well. Just clean it thoroughly, and chop the bottom part of the bone, so that joint bit is out. This is the top part of the back. The back should actually be cut out like I said to you earlier. So just get all the bones that are hanging on the side of it out, so it should have like a neck shape at the end of it. If you leave these, you can leave it, but if you leave them, they would actually be falling in the sauce, so it will not be ideal, and it shouldn't be left anyway. So you clean it as how you would clean the neck. So I'll show you how to clean the neck next. So with the neck, I bought a boiling chicken, so it has a good length of neck. But if you're buying, I bought it from the butcher, so if you're buying it from a supermarket, it might not have a neck, or it might be slightly shorter. So I just wanted to point out that, but I'm using a toothpick at this point to clean it. As you can see, this white bit is coming out, but if you have a barbecue stick, that will be ideal to use because it's longer, you can push it right through. Step 3 and the final step is cooking the chicken. I've got about 5 kilos of red onions here. So the first step is just to leave that on your cooker to steam and get the water out. So the onion, when you do that, you can see the color of the onion is changing and the water is actually disappearing. So just keep mixing it, depending on your cooker and your pot. The time could vary, but just make sure you'll be checking on it as much as you can. When if your pot is non-stick pot, then it's fine. If not, then you just need to be careful that the onions are not burnt, because that burnt taste will ruin the flavor of your wort. So just be checking on it and mixing it together. And doing this, you might repeat this a few times, so you do the same again until you're sure that the water is completely gone. And just to tip on this, the onions that are sticking to the side of the pot, it's best to get them down or remove them as much as you can, because they could, when you add in the spices later on, they could actually get burnt. So not all of it, but as much as you can, just try and take them out. So I added white pepper, black pepper and Korerima here, and also this much of Berbere. You can be adding like 1 or 2 tablespoons, but just be checking on the amount, but just don't expect it to get red quickly. But I can show you, this is a small bowl that I've got that I have added with, so I just added that and mixing that together. One thing I forgot to mention is I've added garlic and ginger here as well, so that is cooked together. So we cook the Berbere a few times. I will be checking on it, but I'm gonna close the lid for a little bit, but I will be checking on it and mixing it until the Berbere gets darker color like that. And now I'm adding Maggi chicken stock cubes. This is optional, this is something that I would like to add, but if you decide to add it, just check on the salt level before you add any salt in it. And now it's the oil. I'm adding 1 cupful of oil here. Normally the normal process of adding oil is straight after the water is gone in from the onions, but I don't do that because the process is very long and you cook it for very long. I tend to add the oil later on. I have been tipped this from a good cook and a restaurant owner, so it's best that you add the oil later on. It is harder when you add the onion later on because the Berbere needs to be checked and cooked thoroughly. Like it might get burnt, so you're actually constantly mixing. But if the oil is there, then it's easier to be mixing and cooking. But I suggest you follow this step. So it also removes this heartburn feeling that you might get normally from eating this. So this removes that. I've noticed that this removes that sort of feeling. So just make sure that you do this, and consistency is dependent on how you like it. I normally don't add lots of water. I'll show you that later on, but I normally don't add lots of water. If you don't add lots of water, you can preserve it for longer. So as you're actually serving, you can be adding it warm water, then you can have that thinner consistency. So I tend to make it thick. So now I'm adding the meat. I will show you how I sliced it so the sauce will get inside it, just like that. Make sure you slice it like that, and once you've soaked it with lemon and water, just make sure that you clean it with clean water, and also squeeze out all the water from it. So just make sure there's no water left from it and it's dry before you put it in the sauce. And now I am adding Kibe, or Ethiopian butter. So this is the amount that I'm adding, but it all depends on how much you want in it, on how you like it. So this is how much I'm adding into it. Same thing with the oil. Some people tend to go extra with the oil, but I just like it like that, so I just added 1 cupful. And with the butter as well, I think I used 1.5 with the spoon that I just showed you, the big serving spoon. So I've added that. What I'm showing you is not a real time, so just make sure that you actually cook the berbere quite thoroughly and spend some time. This could take for a few hours, probably 1 hour for the berbere and 1 hour for the chicken. Then once you added the chicken, you'd be adding drips of water, warm water. I am just adding, like I said to you earlier, I'm not adding a lot, so I am just adding a few drips of it, so it's got that thick consistency. Here is the final step, which is just checking if the meat is cooked. And as you can see, the berbere has changed color. The flavor, the smell of it is just beautiful. You can actually feel it. But I'm just checking if the meat, as you can see, the meat is brownish. I just check it like that. But I have spent probably an hour cooking just the meat in the sauce, so I know that it's cooked. So I'm just going to show you how to do the eggs. It's a boiled egg, taking the skin out. So just slice it through as the same thing as the chicken that I did with the chicken. So this the sauce will actually get in it, and the flavor will go inside of it. If I haven't mentioned before, you do the same for the meat as well. So each part of the meat should be sliced through, so the flavor will actually get into it. You can add the eggs here at this point, but I don't add the eggs here. And now I'm adding something called Mekelesha, or it's a mixed spice. You just sprinkle that at the top. It gives it that nice smell at the end. Just make sure you do that when you know that it's actually ready to be taken off the fire, or when it's almost ready to be taken off the fire. So yeah, so that's it. I'm just tidying up my pot here. This is a good tip that I want to give you guys in Ethiopia. There's a saying that a good cook never has a messy pot. So just make sure your pot looks clean. Just wipe it down so it's nice and presentable. So yeah, we're done. So you can close the lid, leave it on low fire for a while. If you like the video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Subscribe for more videos, share it with other people, and leave your comment down below. Enjoy, you Ethiopian Doro Wot. See you next time.